Thanks for joining us. I'm going to explain the basic rules of Sicilia and do a quick walkthrough. I've set the board up for a 3-player game. Sicilia works equally well with a 2-player game through a 5-player game, and with the 6-player expansion it works basically the same. Start out with the setup. So first set the main game board here in the center. On the sides, take all the support cards. There's a big deck, and distribute them equally into 5 different stacks. This is the melting pot here on this side, and you can see there's 5 different zones. Just split them up equally, put them all face down, so you can see that they're all face down, and then flip over the top card. Next, over on the other side of the table, you can put the 5 different support allegiance tiles, the stack of Potenza strategy cards. And then you can have each player choose a color and take all the wooden pieces, put 1 pawn on the transportation levels on the board. And right now we all start out with walking, moving 1 village. And then you keep the rest of your pieces along with a turn order card, a support wheel, a voting wheel, and everyone starts out with 4 support cards in their hand. Now the first step you're going to do is decide everyone's home village, capital village. There are 6 different capital village cards, and they're marked on the board with the star. So randomly, everyone's going to draw a home village card. So right now we've chosen Trapani is for orange, Catania is for red, and Milazzo is for green. Once you've decided that, you can just set those cards to the side. That's just to figure out your starting village. If you're in a 2-player game, you actually draw 2 cards and you collect and you make 2 villages your home, and you can decide which one you want to start with. Once you've figured that out, everyone finds their home village, puts a support marker on it. As you can see here at Trapani, so orange has taken that and it's worth 8 points. Everyone starts out with their opening points, and then we're ready to go. The other pawn, the black pawn for the Innominato, which is the unnamed, which is also the precursor to the Mafia, can just go wherever for now. Alright, that's the setup. Now let's get into the game. There are 2 phases to Sicilia. The first phase is collecting support, and then the second phase is taking actions. So during the first phase of the game, you're going to be dealing with the melting pot, which is all of these support cards over here. And all the support cards are 6 different types. There's 1, the Greeks, 2, the Arabs, the Italians are 3, French is 4, and Spanish are 5. And then you also have soldi, which is this, which is money, and that's a 6. So the first thing you're going to do, if you look at the board, each of the villages has a different number of support that's required to earn that village. For example, here at Alcamo, it would require a 1, a 4, and a 5, which is a Greek, a French, and a Spanish support card in order to earn that village. So as you start out, you're going to look at your hand and see which cards you have and see how much distance you can travel, and you're going to try and figure out which of these cards in which stack is more important to you. So once you've decided, let's say if you are the orange player, you really want one of those 5s, and I'm hoping that, I'll get to the swords in a minute, this one seems more valuable with 4 swords than 3, so I'm just going to vote for this one. And if you look on the side here, there are 5 different symbols which also relate to your voting wheel. These are the different ways that you can earn support of the different villages. It's wine, protection, giving a speech, education, or food. So everyone takes their voting wheel, decides which stack they want to get the support from, which card they're going after, and then everyone secretly puts your marker on that stack. And I'm orange, so I'm going for education. And then once everyone's ready, you reveal at the same time. So orange has chosen education, red has chosen education, and let's say green chose food. Now we have to resolve the conflict because 2 players chose education. So the person who chose something that no one else did, so green chose food and no one else did, green gets the top card plus 2 additional cards underneath for a total of 3 cards. And he puts those support cards in his hand. Red and orange have to duel, and that goes back to these swords at the bottom. They have to look in their hand and choose 1 card. As you can see, all the different cards have different amounts of swords, 5 being the highest, 2 being the lowest. And you would choose a card in your hand and reveal that card at the same time. So these two players are dueling. They reveal, it looks like orange had a 5 sword, red only had a 2 sword. So orange won the duel. By winning the duel, orange takes the education, the top card, plus 2 additional cards and puts it in his hand. And red, because of the penalty, only gets 2 cards. So red can either choose one of the remaining stacks. If red was still going for the 5s, she could take that top 5 and then only 1 additional card because of the penalty. So instead of getting 2 extra, she only gets 1. She could have also just chosen any other stack, even ones that are turned over. She can just take blindly 2 cards. Once all the duels and all of that is figured out, then we move on to the next phase, which is taking actions. If you look at your quick reference card, it'll spell out all the different actions you can take. So you start out by deciding who the active starting player will be. Let's say it's orange. And there are 5 different actions that everyone can take and only 1 action that the starting player can take. And the first action is that one special action. And the starting player can decide where the Innominato is going to go. And basically, the unnamed is used to thwart other players. The unnamed, when it's on a village, makes it so that no one can acquire the support of that village. So let's say it's in San Nicola, and it's right here. If the Innominato is put there, red, green, no one can acquire that village, even the person who placed it there. Now you can pass through, or you can stop at that village, and that's okay. You just can't earn the points from that village. And the unnamed can never be put on a village that already has been taken by a village marker on it. So active player decides where to put it. Active player is going to put it right there and block, or let's say puts it right there and blocks red. And now you can take the other 5 actions. And these are the 5 actions that you can take. And you can take all of these actions or none of these actions. You can pass if you're just collecting cards and building up your hand. And you can take them in any order, but you can only take each action once. So here are the actions. They are moving up your support level, or sorry, your transportation level. They are moving around the board, actually traveling. They are earning the support of a village, getting a Potenza strategy card, or earning one of the allegiance tiles. And I'll explain each of those 5. Moving up on the transportation level requires 2 soldi. If you look at the bottom here, it takes 2 money to move up each level. So let's say orange is the active player, happens to have 2 money. He can turn that into the discard pile and move his transportation up 1 level. Now instead of only moving 1 village at a time, he can move 2. So he could go 2 in any direction and get to other villages. The second action is actually moving. So let's say orange just wants to move only once. He can go up to 2, and he just goes here to Alcamo. Alcamo, if you look at the numbers on the board, which by the way, the final product will be about 20% bigger, so it's going to be easier for you to see all the numbers. He wants to acquire Alcamo. So he looks through his cards, and he finds a 1, a 4, and a 5. A 1, a 4, and a 5. By playing those support cards, he can earn that village. He puts a village marker on there because he's earned it, and the shield will tell you how many support points he gets. 5 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's the second action, is acquiring the support of a village. These cards just go into a discard. One note, if at any time during his hand, let's say he didn't have that 5, he could have turned in, at any time, and on your card it shows you this, you can do 3 of a kind of any card to act as a wild. So he could have played those 3 2s in place of the 5 and then the 4 and the 1, and that would have gotten him the village. Also at any time, you can use 2 money as a wild. So instead of using it for your transportation level, you can use those 2 as a wild. So he could have done it that way too. 2 money, a 1, and a 4, and earned Alcamo. Alright, the next action is to earn a strategy card, a Potenza strategy card. And the way to get one of those is it takes any 3 support cards. So orange could pay with any makeup. It could be the same cards. It could be 3 random cards. Any 3 cards will earn a strategy card. And just keep in mind, the strategy cards, for the most part, to keep the game balanced, some of the things you get from them are really great. A lot of them are situational. A couple of them hurt other players. Sometimes it helps you, sometimes it hurts others. And so it's a little bit of a gamble of what you're going to get, but by earning the different cards, you can use them in strategic moments to help move yourself forward. So let's say if Orange took one card right now, happened to choose Tribute, which is moving a transportation up one level for free, so instantly goes up to 3 villages. We'll put that in the discard. Now the final action is to acquire an allegiance tile. And these are the allegiance tiles over here on your right. And there are 2 ways to earn an allegiance tile, again in your reference card. And they are, you can earn 5 villages in one zone, and there's 6 zones here. You can just see by the different colors, and these colors don't relate to the colors on the cards. They're just slightly different. So you can earn 5 villages in one zone, or you can earn 1 in 5 zones. So let's say if Orange happened to earn these 5 villages, he could choose any one of these allegiance tiles and use it for the rest of the game, or 1 in each of 5 zones. So let's say it was that. He has 1 in 5 zones. That would also earn an allegiance tile. And that's where you need to decide your strategy, if you're going to go for all the little quick, easy villages that only require a few cards, or some of the bigger villages like this one that has 6 support cards, even though it gives you higher loyalty points. Once you acquire, so let's say Orange was able to get one. He chooses 3 because he's always thwarted and he's never getting a 3 card for some reason. And now the way it works is, on that same action of purchasing a village, let's say that if he had, oh that's not a good example, let's say the 5. Let's say that Orange had the 5 support or allegiance tile, it would only take him a 1 and a 4 card to earn Alchemo. Now let's say there's one over here that has 2 5s, the tile would only satisfy 1 requirement, so he would still have to pay a 2 and a 3 and a 5 to earn that village. Alright, so those are all the actions. And the way the game works is you continue to take turns. So let's say we've decided who the starting player is, and the way the actions go is you do the first phase, and then you decide who the starting player is. That player places the unnamed, Orange does all of his actions, and then Green does all of his actions, and Red does all of her actions. And when you get back to Orange, then we move the starting player over to Green, and now Green is the starting player. We flip over all of the stacks so we can vote again with our voting wheels to decide which stack you want in the melting pot, take care of all the duels, get your cards. Green player moves the Innominato. We go around and everyone takes their actions, and you keep going until the end of the game. The end of the game happens when you reach a certain amount of points. This is an active point system, and you can see that for 5 players it's 51, 61 for 4 players, 71 for 3, 81 for 2. And the moment one person crosses or touches that square, the game ends. You don't continue the round. So play your cards well, make sure you have your strategies, watch as someone's getting closer so that you can make your move at the right time. And that's the game of Sicilia. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate your support.